Hey, it's Bonnie Newland, registered dietitian nutritionist, and I'm here with Wendy Wesley, registered dietitian nutritionist. And we wanted to have a Monday chat about nutrition and all things wellness with you. So we're excited for all of you that are going to join us here in a minute and see this live. So I'm going to go ahead and let Wendy kick off our talk here in a minute. We are going to talk about a couple things. The first thing is we're going to talk about home cooking, and she's going to talk about arranging and gathering your kitchen like a pro. And then we're going to talk about my favorite F word, fiber. We're going to talk about fiber and how that works into your diet. And then we're going to give you some takeaways so that you can put what we're talking about into action right away. So without further ado, I'm going to let Wendy take over here.
Hey, thanks for having me, Bonnie. I appreciate you inviting me to this. And I'm passionate about home cooking. And I have observed with a lot of my clients and patients that over the pandemic that we are eating out in restaurants and doing takeout, order in, Uber Eats, DoorDash more now than ever. And so a lot of my clients say, I've got to get back to the kitchen, but it is such a chore. So I put together it's actually 14 points, but I've just got a couple I can talk about here. So you can arrange your kitchen for maximum speed, maximum efficiency, and what I like to say, maximum joy, because really if cooking is a pain and it's not joyful, you're less likely to do it. But if you're working in an environment that's snappy and fun and works for you, I think you'll be more inclined to get in and make simple meals that are nutrient dense, that nourish you and your family. So
yeah, I think people like things quick. I know when I've had a busy day, I want to come home and I want something that's fast. And even if I'm home all day, so many of us are now working from home and we don't have that transitional space. We want to know how to set up our kitchen. So can you tell us about a few of your pro tips and what works to get our kitchen set up like with restaurant efficiency?
Yeah, a long time ago, I had this big cutting board, and I used to put it away after every time it was this big. It was huge, and I must have weighed 10 pounds. I used to put it away, and one night I was putting it away, and I dropped it on my toe. I said, well, to heck with this. And so I started to leave it out on the counter, and what I found was my fruit consumption went up. My vegetable consumption went up. And I was getting to the act of cooking much faster because it was a step that I didn't have to do. I didn't have to lug that big thing out from underneath. And so I just got my onions going. If there was an apple, I got my apple out. If I had to cut a pineapple, it was all just ready. So leave your big wood cutting board out. Now, wood cutting boards are, I think, the best way to go, and they don't have to be expensive. I've seen them $30, $40 at Bed Bath & Beyond. So get yourself a big cutting board and just find a place, and it lives there in your kitchen. That's where it lives, and don't set stuff on top of it. I think that area where you cut is sacred, and there are some sacred spaces in the kitchen, and that cutting board is a sacred space in your kitchen.
I love that tip. I have my cutting boards out here behind me, as you can see. So I have a big one and then two smaller, and I leave them out because we use them nonstop. And I agree. One, it saves your counters because people are not going to be too lazy to pull them out because they're already out. But two, everything is ready to go. I can wash, chop, and be done. So
and people say, well, mine gets stinky. What do I do? And I say, you take your coffee grounds from that morning and you smear them on your cutting board and you let it sit, and those coffee grounds will absorb all that onion and garlic.
Absolutely. And it's natural. I'm not using any chemicals on there. I love that. I love that tip. What other awesome tips do you have?
Well, I like to set up my area where I cook with the spices that I use all the time, and with my salt, my pepper, and my oils. And so if you looked at how a restaurant sets up their kitchen, they're setting things up so they move fast. They're pushing orders through nice and quick, and the guy is not running way over here to grab the butter and way over here to grab the salt. This chef is at his or her station, and everything he or she needs is right in front of them to throw it in the pan and cook. So you arrange this area in front of you with all of these essential cooking things. The other thing is you have I guess you call it an appliance tub or an appliance garage, wooden spoons, spatulas, all of those kinds of things. I also keep my knives right in the drawer below my cutting board. So when I go to cook, grab an onion on the board, knife from the drawer, away I go. The other thing, if it's possible to arrange your kitchen in a way so you could source the food quickly, wash it, chop it, cook it. And what this does is it puts the flow linear. You're going to wash, chop, and cook. And this means that there's hopefully, if you can, a sink, a cutting board, and a cooktop.
Yes,
and then You're moving very, very fast in a linear fashion.
Yeah. I like that because time is money. It's time is money in a restaurant. And if you think about our time is money too. We could be doing things that we want to do. We could be going out for a walk. We could be working more. So I agree. If we were more efficient, I think a tip that I do, and you said it, is that before you start cooking, if you're going to follow a recipe, look at that recipe and put everything that you need on your counter in your space. Don't say, well, I'm in my kitchen, I'll just get it as I need it. No, have it ready to go. It makes everything more efficient. And then the other thing that I do, and this works really well for me with my memory at this point in life, is that once I use something, I sort of set it across from me. So I know if I get interrupted, I've already used it. Because how many times have you gone to make something and you're like, well, heck, did I put the baking soda in? And you have no idea if you put it in. But if I set it on the other side, it's sort of my bridge saying I've used that. So
that's a great idea. That's a great idea.
What I use.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And then I know we were going to talk a little bit too about judgment-free cooking. So I think in the age of Pinterest and Instagram and TikTok, so many people feel really intimidated, right, about working and cooking from home, working in their kitchen, because they think that everything needs to look beautiful and it's this big production. And I feel like comparison is the root to all evil. You know, if something doesn't come out looking like this Pinterest project, then we think we're a failure. But really, if it has nutritional value and it tastes good, then it's a winner. What do you think about that?
Well, I'm on Team Bean. I think that the beans are probably the finest food on the planet for their fiber and their protein, their micronutrients. I could talk about beans till I'm blue in the face. People say, well, I don't want to soak beans and cook beans. I'm like, honey, I do not soak. Or I soak and cook beans once a year. It's on New Year's Day. I make black-eyed peas. The rest of the time, I'm cracking open a can of beans. I'm draining them. I'm doctoring them up with my spices. I'm adding some quick cut, rough cut, ugly cut peppers and onions and all this other stuff. And I'm putting together a really super fast black bean soup, which, man, there's something about a black bean soup that fills you up, nourishes you, makes you just feel all nice and full and nourished. And it's just, what is it? It's $1.53 in ingredients between the beans and the spices and the onions and the peppers. It's a no-brainer.
Yes.
So, like, give yourself a break. Frozen vegetables are your friend. Please, please don't feel like you have to buy all this fresh organic stuff. Frozen vegetables are okay. People say to me all the time, Wendy, what's the best vegetable? And the answer is the one that makes it into your stomach. The one that gets into your stomach. And that, you know, if you're a canned vegetable person, it's okay. It's okay. If you're a frozen vegetable person, it's okay. If you can afford organic, great. If you can't, that's okay too. Please just eat vegetables and no judgment. Just figure out how to work them into your lifestyle.
Yeah, I think the vegetables that you eat are better than any fast food that you would eat any day, hands down, whether it's conventional or organic. Some people prefer to eat organic. Some people don't prefer to eat organic and can't afford it, and that's fine. But I agree with you. The vegetables that you eat are super important. And I think that kind of leads into the topic of nutrient density. And this is a new term for so many people. I know it's not new to you and I. We both teach nutrient density in our practices. But nutrient density refers to the amount of nutrients that a food has, and it's here on the screen, the minerals, the complex carbohydrates, the protein, and the healthy fats that a food contains in comparison to the amount of calories. And so I always tell my clients that, you know, non-starchy vegetables only contain 100 calories per 1 pound of food. As humans, we eat about 3 pounds of food a day. So if we're eating things that are heavy in oils and fats, which, by the way, are 4,000 calories per pound, then that's going to add up real quickly with caloric density. And I grabbed a few things, and I know you did too, just to kind of show for a little demonstration, because I think visual cues are really helpful. But whenever you take water and fiber out of a food, and I want you to think about grapes. So I have a handful of grapes here that still have the water and the fiber intact. Just by processing those same grapes into raisins, look how small the serving size is. And this is probably the same amount. So when you think about the bulk in our stomach, if I can get it in front of my camera here, you know, that the water and the fiber are going to provide compared to what these raisins are going to provide, you have to really think about what's going to fill you up, because that fiber hits all the points in terms of vitamins, minerals, bulk and satiety in the stomach, and fullness. Plus it adds hydration. And I know you teach that in your practice as well. What is it that you tell your clients?
Well, I tell them that fruit is a green light food. People come to me all the time. They say, "Oh, I got to watch the sugar in the fruit." I said, "No, no, no. I want you to watch the sugar in processed foods, cakes, cookies, pies, candies. That's where I want you to watch the sugar. I don't want you to mind the sugar in unprocessed whole fruits and vegetables." Yeah, but potatoes. They warned me about potatoes. I'm on team potato.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
love potato too.
no one's on the stroke and the cardiac unit at the hospital where I used to work because of too many potatoes or too many apples. And when I say it like that, I almost see the light bulb go on over people's heads and they go, "You know what? You're right. It's apples didn't get me here. It's apple muffins that got me here."
Apple
Right. That got me here, which is
Yeah.
that ultra processed combination we talk about all the time of four things: sugar, salt, fat, flour.
Yes.
That combination of hyper palatable, ultra processed foods that is I believe driving diabetes, driving obesity, driving cardiac disease, and ultimately kidney failure.
Yeah. I know there's a great book we were going to mention too by David Kessler, who is the former head of the USDA.
It's right
and
here.
It's called, The End of Overeating. And it talks about the insatiable American appetite. And her book is well used, which is kind of a great book.
My dog has eaten one book, and it's this one. This is the one book my dog has eaten.
Yeah.
But this book is like it's massive in my mind.
Well, it's insightful into the food industry because what you just touched on, and I teach this too in my practices, I know that you do, and I call it, when the food industry calls it, the 3 points of compass, and that's sugar, fat, and salt. And what happens when we eat those foods in combination is that it triggers the reward in our brain to release dopamine. And so I always have people come to me and they say, "I cannot get off of sugar," or "I cannot get off of sweets. I cannot get off of French fries." Well, of course you can't, because those foods are engineered to have you crave them by having you release more dopamine in your brain. So the more whole foods that we can add in, it's going to kind of set you back from those hyper palatable foods, and it's going to fill you up without triggering the dopamine. And I'm not saying that, you're eating French fries today and you're going to stop tomorrow. Sometimes that's a process and you have to meet people where they're at. But taking those little steps day by day, little changes make big changes by the end of the year. And sometimes I tell people, if you made one small change a day in a year, you'd have made 365 changes. You're not going to be where you are today. You're not starting from zero. You're starting from knowledge. You're starting from where you're standing today. And I know we talked about sodium too. I'll let you talk a little bit about sodium. I think we could have a whole chat about that.
Yeah, we could. When I worked the hospital, I'd walk into the room. I said, "Okay, your cardiologist invited me to come talk to you." Like, "Well, I don't use the salt shaker." And I'd say, "Well, I'm here to tell you that the majority of the salt in the American diet is not found in the salt shaker. It's found in processed foods." "Well, tell me what a processed food is." And then we kind of go through it. There is a chapter in here where they break down how Chili's makes a Shanghai boneless wing. And even all that I know about the restaurant industry, I was not prepared for that chapter. It kind of set me back for a minute. And I thought, wow, how does the home cook compete with this hyper palatable food? And I think in the pandemic, I'm noticing a lot of people using the wonder of technology, have connected Uber Eats, DoorDash, other services to their phone, to their credit card, and it's like 2 or 3 clicks and 3,000 calories arrives at the front door effortlessly. And I think that it's an insidious, slow kind of a palate change where only a Chili's Shanghai boneless wing will do the trick.
Exactly.
It's why I'm so passionate about home cooking and nutrient density, simple foods, minimally processed foods, in an effort to retrain the brain and train the tongue to the way we're born to eat.
Yeah, we need to have a taste bud reboot, right?
Yes.
I always tell people a really easy hack to look for things on a food label is every food label on the nutrition facts panel will show the sodium. And something that I learned from a cardiologist at Johns Hopkins is that if you look at the sodium and you look for under 20% in all of the sodium intake on your more processed foods, any food that comes with a package on it, that's going to ensure that you're pretty much eating low sodium. And I think that's a really easy way to watch your sodium. And I do it if I buy, these are my canned beans here, and I look, these are no sodium, which is what I buy if I can find them. But I always look, if anything has over 20% sodium, it doesn't come into my house. That's just a rule, because I know that it's trying to trick me into eating more of it. And I don't want to be tricked by the food industry. I want to make my own food choices.
Mm-hmm.
I think the other thing that so many people don't understand is that by the time we're in our early 20s, we have all of the fat cells primarily that we're going to get. It's not an easy thing to grow a fat cell, contrary to how many of us feel, especially women in middle age. But what sodium does is it increases our storage capacity, because when we eat sodium, as you know, and as hopefully all the people on here that I've talked to before or have heard me talk know, is that allows more fluid to come into that cell. It creates an imbalance in the cell, and you create a bigger cell, which now has more capacity to hold triglyceride and fat. So sodium is building storage for fat. Think about that. Sodium is building storage for fat. That changes everything. The salt that you put on your food is building storage for fat. So when you choose to oversalt things or buy things that are high sodium, you're sort of saying, wow, I like storage for fat. You know, paying attention to that is essential for so many health reasons.
Yeah, yeah. I tell my clients to get on the scale in the morning, same time every morning, get up, go to the bathroom, get on the scale. And then if you see a significant weight gain, I want you to tie that to the previous day's sodium intake. And I want you to start to pay attention. Wow, what did you have for dinner last night? We went for pizza. Well, I had patients in the hospital the day after Thanksgiving and the day after Christmas. Our beds were full from CHF fluid overload because of the big sodium meals. But I also had a couple guys come in. What'd you have for dinner last night? I hit the Chinese buffet.
Yes.
Fluid overload, and it is incredible the effect that salt can have on the body.
Yeah,
it is incredible.
Yeah. And our sodium potassium pump, which balances out the electrolytes and moves salt out of the body. I always tell people, if you go out for a meal like the Chinese buffet and you can't get your wedding ring on and your fingers are tight, start your next day off with a banana or some potatoes or something high in potassium that's going to naturally alleviate some of that water, because that is a horrible feeling. You feel sluggish the rest of the day.
Yes, and hydrate, and get out and move a little bit. Get out, just take a walk. Just get off the couch, turn off the Netflix, take a walk, and hydrate. And you could push a lot of that
You'll
forward.
Sweat it out.
Yeah.
Especially in this heat. I mean, you're in St. Pete, Florida. I'm in Maryland. It's hot here, and I know it's hot there. So
it is.
I think the next thing that we need to talk about is the white elephant, and that is sugar. Everybody loves sugar. I mean, I think I've yet to ever meet a client that said, oh, I don't like sugar. They may not like a certain part of sugar, but everybody eats some sugar. And a lot of people don't know that there's a guideline for sugar. So women should have a max of 6 teaspoons added sugar a day, and men should have a max of 9 teaspoons added sugar per day. Do you have a trick that you teach people for watching for the added sugar?
Well, I do tell people that in a 3/4 cup of yogurt, fruit on the bottom yogurt is about how many is it? It's about 25 grams of sugar. That's the amount of sugar that's in a can of Coca-Cola. It's also the amount of sugar that's found in 5 apples. And then I say, how long does it take you to eat 5 apples? Well, that takes me a long time. And that goes back to fiber. How long does it take you to eat 3/4 cup of yogurt or down a Coca-Cola? Nothing, just like that. So it kind of illustrates how quickly sugar can enter our food when it comes to us in packages. I was working with a client, and they told me a husband and wife. They told me they like to go to Firehouse Subs, and I had a hunch. I went and looked at the Firehouse Subs menu for tuna fish. They told me they like to get tuna fish because it's a better choice. 12 grams of high fructose corn syrup in the tuna fish alone
to make it sweet.
And I had talking to another person today who was telling me about how much she loves chicken salad chick. And I looked it up, and again, it's another big dose of high fructose corn syrup in a food that is supposed to be a very savory food. And I think that's where it's incredibly insidious, is because these are foods where we don't expect sugar, but our tongue has been trained to expect that these foods are sweet.
Right. And I think that goes back to home cooking. If we were making tuna salad at home, we may put a little relish in it, but we're not going to put high fructose corn syrup in it.
No.
The more often you eat those restaurant type of tuna salads, or the ones that you get at the deli, there's a higher propensity for those foods to have added sugar in them. So I think you can food prep on the weekend and make a big batch of tuna salad or egg salad or whatever it is that somebody's making. chickpea salad in my house, then you could eat it all week long. So I think, it goes back to kind of planning and being willing to spend a little bit of time in the kitchen and making it simple on yourself.
Yeah, and in here where they describe the Chili's Shanghai wings, there are 12 different versions of sugar, but when it gets to your plate, they're through the processing from the factory to the restaurant with the sauces. Once it gets to your plate, there are 12 different kinds of sugar that have made their way into the recipe. But when it gets to your plate, which that blows my mind.
Yeah. I always think that that's interesting too. If you go to a restaurant and you order something that you would never suspect had butter on it. I have a dairy allergy, so I always ask. I mean, almost everything has butter. Every meat is finished in butter. Every vegetable is shiny with butter. And asking for something to be prepared without it sometimes seems like it's a hard feat. So it's just easier sometimes to prepare those things at home. But a lot of times restaurants will accommodate you if you ask. And that usually means that there's less sugar, fat, and salt on my food because they have to special make it. So that's always a nice thing. One thing that I like to think about in terms of going back to the fiber is I like to think of insoluble fiber as a broom, and it's going through, right, kind of scrubbing that intestinal wall. It's providing a little bit of bulk and giving some bowel motility. And then I think about the soluble fiber acts more like a mop. It's going in there and dissipating and really scrubbing through everything that the broom didn't pick up. We talked about fiber quite a bit and how to get added fiber in the diet and things like that. What tricks do you give your clients to get more fiber in their diet, since that's such an essential part of eating healthy?
I ask them if they're looking at labels to look for 3 grams or more of fiber. I also I want them to eat the skins of everything that is edible. And I also want them to look for color. And so looking for color, asking yourself, where is my fiber? Where is my color? And where is my protein with each meal and each snack? And so I want you to always look for that color. White is a color in the form of mushrooms and bananas and radishes. Black is a color. Black is a color that you get from your black beans and that dark purple skin of your eggplant. And then every other hue in the middle. People say all the time, isn't a sweet potato better than a regular potato? I said, not better, just different. Eat them all. Eat them all. Eat all the colors and eat the skin. Eat the skins. There's a lot of nutrients and fiber in there.
I think people got away from eating the skins when we started microwaving potatoes because the skins can be rather tough. And I mean, personally, one thing I do that works really well if I have the time is that I'll use my Instapot or a crock pot or even the oven, and I'll do several potatoes at a time, and then I just store them on my fridge. And that way the sugars circulate and it breaks down the skin and they get a little bit softer. So I find them to be really appetizing. So
I recommend that people I've never been one to do a lot of cooking on Sunday. That's just never been my jam to meal prep, spend all day. I just won't do it. I will do a couple of things in advance. And one of those is I will cook some potatoes in advance and keep them in the fridge and then bring them out, get them to room temp, chop them. And then I add them to some eggs, or I'll throw them in with something and put it in. I like to put stuff in tortillas and eat. I like to eat tacos, but, or you chop them up and put them on top of a salad, or they're a great accompaniment for a bowl. I always say cook a grain too. If you just cook a grain, a pan of quinoa, some barley, some farro, something, and without the intention of eating it, you just shove it. Hell, I even put the pan in the fridge. Guilty. I don't even put it in a bowl. Sometimes I just put the pan in the fridge, and I know that sounds awful, but I'll pull it out and then I'll scoop some, and then I got a stir fry going, and I didn't have to boil water. I mean, if I can just make a meal without boiling water, I'm happy as a pig and you know what. So
and I love little things like this. So this one came from Trader Joe's, but they have them at every store. It's 10 minutes, 10 minutes. And I tell people the same thing. I mean, you can buy cooked brown rice in the frozen section now. It's already cooked. You've just got to microwave it and build a bowl. You can build a meal in 5 minutes. The other thing that I think is really interesting is that when you cook and cool a grain, it becomes more resistant. The starch becomes more resistant, which is better because it takes longer to digest. It lowers blood sugar and it makes us feel fuller longer. And a side benefit is that it levels our mood. So, I mean, like you said, cook the quinoa, have it in your fridge, stick some in oatmeal, stick some in your lunch, stick some on a salad. You can use it so many different ways every meal, and it's super easy.
It
So
is
that's a
super
really
easy.
easy. If you do one thing, cook a grain. And I think the other thing is that make sure that you're eating whole grains,
Mhm.
not enriched. And that was something that we talked about, because a lot of people will come to me and say, I'm just going to take some Benefiber or something like that and mix it into my water like grandma used to, and I'm just going to drink my fiber and get my 25 grams as a woman that I need daily. And I say, oh, wait a minute, that fiber is pre-digested. So that fiber is for the 85% of Americans that are constipated. It's not for those of us that want to increase our overall health and weight management. It's not the same. It's pre-digested fiber. It's to move things along, not necessarily help to stabilize blood sugar. And I think a lot of people don't realize that.
I completely agree. And also what's not in Benefiber or, Metamucil or those kinds of things. I like those products because they can kind of help you get over the hump, a period of time that's rough. But there's no micronutrients in that.
Yeah.
There is no health benefit to that.
No.
And so I yes, use it if you're stuck. I've got some clients that are using Senna detox teas, but it's natural. It's not Senna, it's the natural kind of Senna. And their GI has lost its way, if you will. The drug has done the work that the gut motility work that our guts are built to do. So the gut it's a muscle.
Yeah.
From here to here, it's a muscle. And if you don't work that muscle, it will atrophy. And so a lot of these detox teas, I warn people, please do not use these on a regular basis because your gut will get lazy.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I say sometimes with supplementing. A lot of people want to supplement. And when you start supplementing things, unfortunately, your body's not going to produce things at the level they need to. If you're supplementing, the body's going to find the path of least resistance. So I think we're giving people a couple takeaways here to look at the sugar on the label. So women need no more than 24 grams a day. Men need no more than 9 grams added sugar. 9 teaspoons a day for men, 6 teaspoons a day for women. 24 grams is what I meant to say. And then increase your fiber. We all need fiber. As women, we need at least 25 grams of fiber a day. Men is 32. And I know we touched on
minimum.
Right. That's like you're barely scraping by. You've got your 25 grams. And Americans, the average is 13 grams. It's like half of what we need.
I know.
Hence the reason for Benefiber and Metamucil being sold in mass quantities, right? So it's definitely a problem. But it's been so great catching up with you. Do you have anything else to add?
I have a group online nutrition course that'll launch in August. It's 6 weeks, and we're just going to go through and talk about emotional eating and how to grocery shop and read labels. And basically everything we kind of talked about today is like how to figure out this big, complicated world. It's not really complicated, but we make it complicated, this world of food. So we can, lose weight if we want, but definitely feel better. People call me and they say, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I said, you know what? I hear you. And food is the way forward. I'm biased. What do I do for a living? But I really think that food has the power to make everything better, and it has the power to make everything worse.
Oh, I'm with you. It definitely does. And I have a group starting in July. So my group is 12 weeks, and we talk about fact over fiction and help, kind of sort through what women need to help lose weight and maintain weight stability. So yes, reach out to us. Follow us on social media. I'm at cravenourishment.com, and Wendy is at wendywesleynutrition.com, and all the social media outlets and Instagram and Facebook and all the other things that are there. I see that we have one comment. I better look at that real quick before very informative, somebody says. Good. I'm glad it was informative. Thank you, Ashley. So.
Oh, look, now I see it. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, chatting with you. Thank you for joining me, Wendy.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me. I've really enjoyed it. I could talk about this till I'm blue in the face. So thank you.
We'll do it again in July. So I know we planned on doing it July 18th, I think it is. So we'll send out a reminder and hopefully talk more about nutrition.
Okay, very good. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Have a good one.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.